Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 11th PvP Live podcast. I am your host, Jason, accompanied by PvP Live staff members Davis, Eldakar, and Addons. Starting with you, Davis. How are you doing today?
I am doing all right. How are you, Jason?
I'm doing pretty well. I actually remembered to turn my mic on this week. So,
That's good.
got a proper introduction this
Good
time.
start.
Yeah, it's a good start to any kind of show. Eldakar, thank you for joining us again this week. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on again.
Good. Excellent. Danny, what's new? What's been going on?
Not much of anything new, really. Same stuff. Really tired today.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
what's going on, chat? How's everybody doing today?
looks like everyone's pretty pumped up, I think. Danny, I know you were up late last night playing with Thugonomics. How did that go?
Oh, it was fun. We were capping his Ellie Shaman.
Yeah.
I was
Go
trying
cool
my
Legolas.
go cool Legolas. Yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah. Another exciting thing is three of us today are actually repping PvP Live shirts. Look at these. Look at how awesome these look, right? Oh my god.
On screen,
Pumped
can you
up
see it?
about
There
them.
you go.
Yeah. They're super exciting. Actually, for myself, and this isn't really, this isn't World of Warcraft related, but Red Bull Battlegrounds have been going on for the past 2 days. StarCraft 2 tournament in New York City, and I'm kind of obsessed with watching any kind of esports, so I've been kind of focusing a lot of my time on that. I don't. Did any of you guys watch StarCraft 2 or not really?
I watched a bit of it yesterday. But I've actually been watching a lot of the MLG Call of Duty tournament.
Yeah. MLG Columbus. That's actually only like 2 hours away from me. Maybe I should have went.
Yeah, it's not that far, but yeah, I've been keeping track of that because I have some friends from back when I used to play that are competing. Team Envious, if anyone's
Sure. Yeah, I'm
familiar with them. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just mentioning on the StarCraft 2 tournament, this 19-year-old girl. Forgive me, I don't follow the StarCraft 2 tournament or StarCraft 2 competitive scene that much, but this 19-year-old girl named Scarlet is kind of just throwing a huge upset amongst everyone right now, and she might actually win the finals. So I'm kind of excited to see what happens here coming up. On another note, has anyone gotten a next gen, or I guess current gen now, console? Anyone pick up a PS4, Xbox One yet?
No, I'm totally a PC gamer.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's it, huh?
not a
That's
console guy.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to pick up an Xbox One, but they're $500. I mean, oh my god, that's a pretty chunk of change. Maybe I'll get one in 2015. Davis, what about yourself? Are you
I
a
mean-
console gamer at all, or?
No, not really. I gave my Xbox away, like my Xbox 360.
Yeah.
Like after I got it, like I was just like, I played COD and Halo, and I was like, wow, Halo's really cool. And I don't know. Then I just kind of was like, well, actually, I can do this on my computer. So, well, I can't play Halo on my computer, but
Yeah. Before we...
ideal.
Right. Before we actually move on to the next topic, I want to ask you guys one more question. Has anyone picked up an enchanted Fey dragon yet?
No.
No?
Have-
No,
No,
Elder-
No, but I really want one. Like
it's a great cause. I think it's a noble cause.
Sure.
But this is gonna sound really nerdy. Okay.
Oh, boy.
Really really nerdy.
Oh man.
Uh, the mounts that I use have to fit the characters I play, like from a RP like lore perspective.
Okay.
What?
So, like for example, my Death Knight rides around on the ICC mount. My Warlock flies around on a Twilight Drake that's kind of Warlockish.
Okay.
I don't have any characters that fit RP wise on a Fey dragon. Yeah,
Right.
I know it's a nerd.
Yeah,
I
just
mean, maybe
Oh,
you could
man.
have a, slightly effeminate.
Maybe a
druid.
blood elf. Maybe a blood elf.
Or a blood elf.
Maybe.
Yeah, a blood
Yeah,
elf would
maybe.
work. Pretty butterflies and a blood elf, that would work.
yeah, I finally I logged on and I was at the PvP vendor the other night and I finally saw one. They're pretty slick. I mean, they're color changing. They're pretty cool
Yeah.
looking. I'm not going to deny it. But keep in
They
mind
Yeah.
do
too.
have some cool effects.
The color changing aspect is kind of what sold me. But yeah, it's I believe $5 of every group purchase with the Ultra Brew Pub goes to Make a Wish. So it is for a good cause. But anyways, let's get into some World of Warcraft talk more specifically. And I believe today or yesterday is the actual 9th anniversary of World of Warcraft. So World of Warcraft has been around for 9 years. So let's put this in perspective here. I've been playing since vanilla. Should I tell people my age? People probably think I'm like 57. I'm actually 30 years old. So I've been playing this game since I've been 21 years old. I mean, that's a large part of my adult life, which is crazy. I mean,
Almost all of it.
I mean, right? Yeah, pretty much almost all of my adult life, and I'm sure you guys are pretty much the same. Davis, kind of going over to you. Did you start playing in vanilla, beta? Where'd you start?
I started playing in vanilla,
Okay.
and I started playing just before, so it was about a year before TBC came out, I think, or something like that.
Right.
Just under a year before TBC came out. So I started playing when I was really young. So the majority of my adolescent life has been wasted away on World of Warcraft. But I took a break in Wrath of the Lich King. How do you
Lich
say
King.
Lich or Lich?
Lich.
Okay,
Lich King.
because in Scotland,
Oh, boy.
we have lochs, which are lakes, and so when you see ch, you kind of want to say
Wrath of the Lake King.
Wrath of the Lich King, but
Oh.
it's more
Wrath
like
of the Lochmadon
Yeah,
King.
the King of Scotland
Uh,
can't always pronounce everything. Aridin, going down to you. When did you? I believe you started playing in vanilla, right?
Well, sort of. I didn't actually like play seriously then. I remember I made a human warrior, and that was when they came with one-handers and shields, not two-handers. I made that in vanilla. Didn't really start playing until BC, and then even then I didn't get to level cap. So like my first, I guess, real full World of Warcraft experience was during Wrath of the Lich King.
If a lot of you guys don't know, Eldakar Jeff is actually a forum MVP on the official World of Warcraft forums. Jeff, how long have you actually been playing this game?
I've been playing since maybe 3 or 4 months after launch.
Okay.
I got really into PvP back in vanilla and did the whole Grand Marshal grind all the way up to rank 14, which took forever,
Right.
but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. How long have you actually been MVP for? Just curious.
Since 2 years now.
2 years.
November 2011.
There you go. Jeff, going to you. What was your favorite PvP element throughout the years, whether it's in effect right now or not?
My favorite PvP element
Yeah.
would probably be the world PvP of vanilla.
The world PvP of vanilla. I think a
Yeah.
lot of people would probably agree with you on that.
Karen Mill, South Shore.
Sure.
And in particular, just holding the choke leading into Black Rock Mountain. So all the raiders that were trying to go in there and do BWL or Molten Core couldn't get in unless they fought their way through us. Oh, that was so much fun.
I think a lot of people miss that. Davis, what was kind of your favorite PvP element from all the expansions within these past 9 years?
I think the introduction of Arena was my favorite thing. I don't think any of us would disagree hugely with that being like a huge thing. But yeah, like arenas is all I do now. Like yeah, PvP and world PvP and all that was fun, but arenas is, I don't know. It's just like the biggest thing. I don't think I would have played WoW as much as I do now if there wasn't arenas, because I couldn't grind High Warlord every day of my life, if you know what I mean.
Right. Yeah, that was a pretty big time sink.
Yeah.
Danny, I didn't get a chance to ask you, what was kind of your favorite PvP element over the past 9 years?
I'm gonna have to say that mine was actually the implementation of rated BGs. Now, I mean, a lot of people I don't really think like too highly of them, but I actually had a lot of fun. And when I started playing WoW, I had just come off of playing Call of Duty very competitively, and so transitioning into WoW, I like promised myself like I'm not gonna do anything competitive. So like Arena, I never really did that much, just kind of messing around. Like I never wanted to get serious with it because I knew like that would be it, and I'd be sucked in for life and never be able to escape WoW, right?
Right.
So I never really got into competitive playing. But then like when RBGs came out, I was like, this is it. I have to. Like there's no more like avoiding serious hardcore like competitive PvP, and that's it. So
Yeah, I mean,
that's-
I think probably for myself too, kind of like Jeff said, was Vanilla World PvP. I mean, that was it, right? I mean, that was super exciting. Yeah, I mean, just the, and you kind of mentioned too, dishonorable kills. Yeah, they really did suck. I mean, because that could really, it really mess up your ratio quite a bit. Something else I just want to note too, in case you guys don't know, if you're leveling an alt or whatever, if you log in during the 9th anniversary for the next, I believe, 2 weeks till December something, you can get a buff for 9% XP boost as well with a 9% boost to reputation gains. So it's a little help. I kind of wish it was a little bit more as far as an XP boost, but it's
Like
a
900%.
Yeah, 900%. 70%. That would have been pretty slick. Or a 300%.
Why isn't there honor on it? Like, why
That'd be
don't
cool.
we get 9% increased honor gains and justice points gains? Or
That's
whatever?
a good question.
I mean, because like I'm gearing an alt at the moment, so like I would use that. But as far as leveling alts and stuff, like I don't have any need for reputation or experience. So I would like to see like honor in it or something.
Yeah. Well, I believe actually all 4 of us are going to be RAFing pretty soon, right, Davis? I think we're going to be we're all going to be leveling some new tunes together. So that's kind of exciting because you're going to be coming over to the US scene, and I think that's going to be an exciting time for us.
Yeah.
Really build that bond between the PvP Live staff. It'll be exciting. Anyway, so on to the next topic. Olivia Grace at WoW Insider actually wrote an excellent article, got me thinking. It's kind of which add-ons should Blizzard build into World of Warcraft for the next expansion. And before we started up the podcast today, we kind of had a roundtable discussion on kind of thoughts of what is kind of needed for PvP at least that we would like to see Blizzard implement as far as a built-in add-on, so we don't always wasting extra resources. And one of the first things that I brought up, and I've been using forever, I think even since it came out, was OmniCC, which is basically a cooldown timer that shows you, the countdown on your bar. It's incredibly useful. It really is. It's just, it seems like, and like I've said before, obviously I don't know anything about programming, but it seems like it'd be such an easy thing for Blizzard to implement, and then you could just, turn it off and on in the settings themselves. Starting with Davis, what do you think is kind of a crucial add-on that you can't live without right now in PvP?
Well, see, this is really specific to me, and we spoke about this earlier, but DR timers are just like my life. Like I'm a rogue, so all I care about is who is on stun DR and who isn't really. So DR timers are like everything I care about. Even on all my classes, really, I always pay attention to DR timers. Noxie, Nico can tell you about that. Is DR is all I whine about. So that for me. But I don't know about a huge add-on that like everyone would really need. Is like OmniCC is a good idea, and
well, I think we got to talk about Gladius, right? I mean, that's
like there needs to be
I would expand the DR thing and say as a whole the arena frames need an update.
Absolutely.
I mean they're outdated at this moment. They're like basically a mirror of the old party frames. So my thought was, why can't they make them like the new raid frames? Nice and big and colorful, and you can show trinkets and DRs on there. I don't know if they want to do all that, but at least a way to customize the arena frames because. As it is now, if I'm playing an arena, I can't even. I'm sure I could get used to it, but I have a hard time playing with the Blizzard arena frames because I do everything in my mind by color. So I glance over to the right, I see blue. On Arena 1, I know it's a shaman, or a mage, depending on what shade of blue. But you get what I'm saying. Like it's really hard for me to use the Blizzard frames, so that definitely needs an update in some way.
And bar timers.
Bar timers.
Like if you think about how many like add-ons you get just to try and see the duration of some sort of buff you have or whatever, everyone kind of always used bar timers in the past. I know a lot of us have strayed away from them, but like if it was there, I wouldn't complain about it. I don't think. But probably someone would make an add-on that could get rid of it if you did want to complain about it.
Right. Eldakar, going down to you. What's kind of your go-to add-on? Besides Gladius, because I think we could all agree that everyone uses that pretty much.
Besides Gladius, I'd have to say Battleground targets. I mean, it's not arena specific, but
sure,
I can't live without Battleground targets in Battlegrounds. And honestly, I think it's something that should really be mandatory, and maybe it doesn't have to be like battleground targets. It could be like raid frames, but for the opposite team. But you know, they've got to put something in there because right now there's just nothing at all.
Right.
It's worse than arena frames.
Yeah, something else too I didn't mention before is something that I use constantly, and I'm guessing a lot of you guys do, and I'm blanking on the name of this add-on. The add-on that shows basically buffs and debuffs on the top of each character along with the health bars. What am I thinking of right now?
Tidy plates.
Tidy plates.
I was actually gonna say that.
Yeah, tidy plates is awesome.
The only reason I even use tidy plates is because I like to see my debuffs on the nameplate.
Of course.
I mean, I could use it on the target as well, but it's just so much easier, especially when you're swapping around, dots as a warlock and stuff, or even as a DK and in battlegrounds and everywhere. It's just for me, it's more convenient to have the debuffs on the nameplate, and I'd like to see that implemented in the game.
Yeah.
So then I could stop using tidy plates.
Yeah, I think kind of like
tidy
you.
Plates for normal reasons too. I mean, just as plates, they're really nice.
Yeah, they're super customizable, but like Addon was saying too, is they're super useful for any character that has a dot, especially warlocks. I would say too, just because you can see the countdown timer on them.
Yeah.
But that's definitely one. And actually, Danny, you brought up something earlier too. I believe it was an add-on called like Battle Herald that was back in vanilla.
Yeah, no, this was actually
it?
I found this in Cataclysm.
Oh, Cataclysm. Okay.
It was some people in chat might have heard of it or have seen it, but basically, what it does is first of all, it adds like a really nice UI at the top of your battleground interface that shows like the score, what nodes you control, what are contested, things like that. But it also has like fully voice acted announcements like Horde has assaulted waterworks, or the Alliance has dropped the flag, things like that. Like it for me, it like kind of brings back like that old like first person shooter element, like Halo, like or something like that. Like just having this like voice announcer. And
double kill.
Yeah, like, and it's and when I used to lead RBGs, it actually made it so much easier because I didn't have to keep clicking the map open and see what was going on, who was like I could just hear things, and react to it that way. So, and we actually talked about this too. Like it was data mined months, maybe even a year ago now, that they had sound files like that in the game. They just hadn't done anything with it yet. So. I think something like that would be really cool.
Terrant W was just mentioning in chat that he uses PvP Sound, which is an Unreal Tournament voiceover thing. That's something I always thought would be fun for Battlegrounds is multi-kill, monster kill, that kind of crap.
Yeah,
but
right.
I'm kind of worried that would make even more people fight in the road, chasing after those combo kills and stuff.
Yeah.
I would want that so bad. I would want to be like wicked sick.
But voiceovers. But voiceovers for objectives, I mean, that's good. It encourages objective play, right? I mean,
yeah, and that's something it's interesting because there's hardly any auditory announcements as far as random battlegrounds or anything go. But it's going to be really nice is too. I believe we touched base on it last week. Is the visual notifications now when someone's capturing a flag in Arathi Basin, for instance.
Yeah, those will be really nice.
That's going to be huge. I mean, I think for everyone because it's at least a step forward to. The general populace, the uneducated, to understand, the objectives of battlegrounds. Because as we've talked about before, that's one of the biggest problems in random battlegrounds is, especially in like AB, people just want to fight on the road. That's it. They don't. I don't think they even understand. Some of the not everyone obviously, but some people don't even understand the actual objectives of AB or even Warsong for that matter. I don't think. But it's interesting too. If anyone in chat has an absolutely necessary add-on, please mention it so maybe we can talk about that briefly as well.
Yeah, I think Athlete has mentioned a few times here in chat that he really likes Interrupt Bar.
Yeah.
And I know he's a really good. I think he's still playing Paladin. I'm not sure, maybe something else now, but
he's the Holy Paladin.
The Holy Paladin. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, Interrupt Bar is one of those things though. Like it's really useful, and I like it a lot on especially my caster classes. But is it kind of giving away too much? From Blizzard's perspective, you know what I mean? Like, is it something they would want to implement? Because it's kind of maybe a little bit like cheating, in certain ways.
I've heard people say the same thing about what's the name of that add-on? Gladiator LOSA, the
Oh,
one that
yeah.
calls
Yeah.
things out to you.
Yeah.
Oh my.
I've heard a lot of people complaining about that one, but
Mm.
at the same time, it's just presenting you with information. It's up to you what to do with it.
Yeah, I mean it could go both ways. Like if you use it wisely and set it up right, I think it could like enhance your play, but I think if you're just terrible at the game and you're relying on it to know what to do, it's really bad. Cuz it just builds bad habits first of all and just, you know. So, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of it, but I think yeah, it's all information you could find in the game anyways if you read your combat log.
Tarrant TW just recommended file cooldowns. That sounds kind of like tidy plates. I'm not that familiar with it.
Oh, Vial cooldowns is like there's other add-ons that do the same thing.
Yeah.
Like what was it, Icicle? Basically it shows enemy cooldowns on the nameplates. So like if a rogue uses Vanish, it'll put the Vanish icon on his nameplate with the timer. Again, that's kind of I don't know. I've used it, I've tried it out, but it feels like cheating for me.
Kind of staying on the subject of add-ons and something we've talked about in a long time ago, probably one of the first two podcasts that we have ever done. So it must have been a couple months ago. Is OQ, and we kind of briefly talked about it again before the show started, and I don't believe any of us are using it, but I kind of want to open this discussion up again because OQ is something that, and I don't want to say Blizzard is implementing in 6.0. But they're moving towards, I don't want to say, again, something similar, but they're, at least for rating, they're kind of implementing an OQ-type setup. Davis, going to you, I don't believe UQ either, but, what are your thoughts on this setup besides annoying spam that you get from it, which I think is one of the major problems with everyone?
I mean, Jeff's gonna hate me because I'm gonna basically say what he said, but
Oh, boy. He's stealing it.
So yeah, I'm stealing what he said and repeat it. So like, it's like it needs to be there. That kind of mechanic needs to be there. People need to be able to do that, but it needs to be a lot easier to use and less spammy. And I don't know. I installed OQ once and disabled it within about 5 minutes because I couldn't handle it and just gave up on trying to do Celestials that week. So, I think it's a good it serves a purpose and that purpose needs to be served, but
Right.
It's not the right tool.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest complaints is too that as soon as you install OQ and activate it that first time, it adds about 100 people to your real ID friends list.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously that's kind of the only way that they can do what they're doing, but man, is that annoying. And then not to mention the spam, the updated real ID spam that says OQ, or whatever it says, every time you're loading it. Eldakar, I know Davis, like he said, kind of stole your thunder on your thoughts. But do you want to go into a little more details on what you think about OQ?
Yeah, and that's okay, Davis. I can't be mad at the King of Scotland, especially not with that beautiful shirt you're wearing.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you need to show that,
I
Davis.
tried.
Why don't you show the Crayola Cran shirt that you're wearing? There you go.
What's
Look at
wrong
that.
with my shirt?
No, nothing. You look like
Yeah.
you're a character on Sesame Street. I love it.
Oh,
This show brought to you by the letter G.
So I agree with what Davis said. OQ
get your
serves
kids
a
over here
purpose,
then.
and it's a purpose that needs to be served, but it just doesn't go about it the right way. Its execution is poor, and it's not because the add-on author isn't trying, but there's so much junk in the add-on that doesn't need to be there, that doesn't serve the core purpose. It has major performance issues, and like you said, it adds a whole bunch of people to your real ID. It's like trying to MacGyver the system, and really, it's a system that should be built in core into the game, and it should be more robust. There should be other options in there, like a list of people that are looking for group where you can sort it by all the different things that you'd want to sort it by, like rating and item level, what class they are, spec, that kind of stuff. So you can say, this guy's looking for group, he's exactly what I need, and just pull him in.
Right.
Yeah, I think definitely I would agree that it serves a purpose, and it's definitely a something that is needed in game. But as far as the way it does it, I mean, well, you kind of said it best. It's like MacGyvering the system. Like it's basically jumping through technical hoops to make this happen. So all the spam you get, all the friends or the ad battle tags, whatever you get added to your friends list, that's just basically how it has to be done, I guess,
Right.
for this to work, because that's how everything is done, is through the friends list.
Yeah,
So,
it seems like, if these guys, the developers that made OQ, can make a program like this, you think it would be super simple for Blizzard to implement it. But I mean, none of us are coders, none of us know what the back end looks like there. But it seems like it would be something that they have to be working on it. I mean, it's specifically for PvP too. I would have to think, right? I mean, that's obvious. Every person that works at Blizzard knows about
they're
that.
clearly working on it. I mean, they've said they're working on it. It'll just be a question of what they actually come up with, how it's implemented.
Yeah. You know what's actually interesting is, too, and I don't know if it's back up now, but about 2 weeks or so ago, maybe even longer, OQ was actually taken down from Curse because they were actually soliciting donations in the form of asking for beer money. So I don't know if it's actually even back up on Curse, or you have to download it from their website.
As far as I know, it's never going back up on Curse.
Okay.
The add-on author said he didn't want to deal with Curse, and he's just not putting it back up there. But I want to mention that Curse, in my opinion, had good reasons for pulling it down. Add-on authors are not supposed to solicit donations in the add-ons. I mean, that's something that violates the terms of service. And quite frankly, I'm a little surprised that Blizzard is letting it happen. I mean, that's something that they should be stepping in and preventing.
Right. Because, I mean, that's actually Blizzard's rules, right? That's not Curse rules.
Blizzard rules, not Curse rules.
Right.
But is it Blizzard's rules not to solicit donations? I know you specifically cannot charge for an add-on.
Well, from what I
can solicit donations, but not in the add-on. You can't do it in
not
game.
in the add-on in the game. I get
You
it.
can do it on the site that you're providing the add-on on,
Right?
but you cannot do it in game, and that's what the add-on is doing, and that's what caused the issue.
Yeah, I think the argument too from the OQ developers, if it's a group or one person, I'm not sure. But they specifically said that they're not asking for donations. They kind of went around it and saying that they're asking for beer money. And I think that was one of the things that they were trying to get across to people is obviously that's a sly way of trying to get around it. But yeah, that's interesting. I'm not really sure why Blizzard doesn't kind of go after them. Maybe they are. Who knows? I mean, it's really hard to say.
I think right now it's because they're in a tricky situation. So many people use it.
Yep.
And it's such a popular feature, and it's brought. I mean, it's brought huge gameplay elements to so many people at this point that it's like, for them to really go after that and kind of break it and eliminate it from their game, they have to one-up it and come out with something better of their own.
Right.
So. It is a tricky situation, but Blizzard has never shied away from doing what they feel is the right thing in the past. And I feel like, I mean, maybe they're just taking their time figuring this out, but they definitely need to step in and do something, because it sends the message that if your add-on is popular enough, you're above the rules, and that's definitely the wrong message to send.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did anyone else want to talk about add-ons in general or anything else on that topic? I think we kind of covered everything we were planning on talking about. Anyways, moving on to the next topic, something that Jeff actually brought up, because I was kind of, if you guys don't know, every week I kind of make a loose outline and then, of talking points that we're going to talk about on the podcast, which I'm sure every podcast does. But this week I was actually kind of struggling with topics because there wasn't a lot of PvP news this week, at least that I saw. So I kind of asked, the four of them, or the three of them, you have any suggestions? And Eldakar actually brought up a great topic to talk about, is the comparison of BlizzCon 2011 to 2013, and, kind of what the developers said was going to come out as far as PvP changes in 2011 for Mists of Pandaria, and what actually happened. So I think actually going right to Eldakar, since this is kind of your idea, and I think it's an excellent subject to talk about, what we were kind of talking briefly is, what exactly didn't they end up implementing in MOP that they said they were going to implement at BlizzCon 2011?
Well, the two biggest things that I can remember that they said they were going to implement, they didn't, were the Dota-style battleground.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, what happened to that?
And the increase to your conquest cap based on controlling world PvP objectives.
Right.
Neither of those things made it into the game. And they didn't explicitly say that the Dota-style battleground was going to make it in, they just put it out as one of the possibilities, along with Temple of Kotmogu and Silver Shard Mines,
Yeah.
which I think had a different name back then. And honestly, I didn't expect all three of them to make it into the game. I figured at least one of them was going to get cut, but I was
Actually-
kind of hoping that we would see the
I'd
other
rather
one.
I'd rather play tower defense than Katmugu. I'll be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah, why don't they get rid of Kamogu?
Jeff, actually, why don't you go into a little more detail about what the Dota battleground was going to be? Did they? I don't think they had
They
a
didn't
lot of
go
information on it,
into
right?
at all.
Okay.
That was actually the one that was the least developed, and that's why I thought it was going to be cut. Because for the other two battlegrounds, they gave concept art for the layout.
Mhm.
But for the Dota style battleground, they really put up nothing, no information at all.
Right.
So it seemed like it was very early in development. And quite frankly, with them releasing Heroes of the Storm now, or they will release it in the future, I don't see them putting something like this into WoW. I think it would be a little bit too much crossover. But
Right.
you never know. I mean, it looks like we're going to get battlegrounds for this expansion, but they haven't really said anything about them that I saw.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we're like I said, last week as well. We're still kind of waiting for additional information from Holinka. Hopefully, within the next couple weeks. Hopefully, within maybe even this week, we'll get a little more information on Trial of the Gladiator and 6.0 as a whole. Davis, I heard you kind of ripping on Kotmugu. I actually like that battleground. What's your problem with it?
I can't stand Kamogu.
Really?
Because I don't know why. Maybe it's just my RPG group, but we never win that battleground. we have flawless win ratios on other
Right.
battlegrounds, but on Kotmogu, we are like a solid. I don't know. We have like 3 wins and like 10 losses or something like that. It's just it's the most horrible battleground that I've ever had to experience in my life. I don't know why. I find it traumatic.
Yeah. Well,
Well,
maybe.
athlete says it's a really good RPG.
Yeah, that's what I said.
I don't know. You might have to hit me up and get me in a group maybe so I can learn some strats or something.
Yeah,
I'm not a fan.
Davis,
Yeah,
maybe.
teach us all.
Baby,
Teach
maybe
us.
maybe it's a simple solution, Davis. Maybe you just need to practice more.
Yeah,
That would
mean,
probably
maybe.
solve it. Going down to you, Addon. Addon, you brought up some interesting facts when we were talking earlier, and you said that kind of in BlizzCon 2011, they kind of made out Mists of Pandaria was going to be the PvP expansion.
Yeah,
that's kind of what they announced.
I mean, that's like, well, the impression I got with the Mists announcement is, Horde versus Alliance. It's basically like this is the PvP expansion is, and that's kind of like maybe the fans kind of helped that out a little bit, but yeah, like that was the impression, was that MoP was the PvP expansion. Well, then it comes out and like it seems like a big experiment, but I mean, we all know that Holinka is the first time that there's ever been a lead PvP dev in the game, and this is the first time that he's actually had his hands on anything. So it's understandable that things have changed, but that was the one thing I was kind of, I guess, I wouldn't say disappointed on, but maybe I just hyped myself up too much for it being a PvP expansion.
Yeah.
It did sound like they were going to make it into something a little bit more PvP focused with the whole theme of Horde and Alliance conflict from the get-go, but they didn't really announce that much that was PvP focused. So I didn't get that impression once I got a little bit further into explaining what the expansion was about, although I still kind of held out hope that there would be more.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, Danny, you kind of brought up a good point, too, is, there was never an actual, lead PvP designer like we have Holinka now. Right. And I think people forget that. I think a lot of people don't realize that, there really wasn't someone specifically there designing PvP or someone on Twitter that's actually interacting constantly on a daily basis with players. So it's actually, it's kind of a refreshing change for sure.
Yeah. Holinka has really been a godsend to PvP because I know that the other developers tried their best to work on PvP and improve it, but just having somebody in there on the dev team that's like a champion for PvP,
right,
that's totally focused on PvP issues and, trying to get PvP worked on and improved and get new PvP content into the game, I feel like is probably the best thing that's ever happened to WoW PvP because he's going to keep driving it forward. Yeah, I'm sure he's going to make mistakes along the way, and people can probably argue that he's made some mistakes to date. But you
screen
you
cap
can't...
that, guys. I want to interrupt. Screen cap MWI Davis. Make
you
some
can't
make some
just-
memes out of it. Memes.
Oh my
No,
God.
I'm just. I
What are
was
you doing
laughing-
right now, there, bud?
I was laughing at what I said to Nico in
Yeah, you
chat.
just look
and,
so happy right now.
mm, yeah,
Screen
I
cap
got
that
lost in it.
and send the
Wow.
memes to @PvP Live on Twitter.
Man, someone
Or
is
hashtag
really
PvP Live.
making Davis happy down low. Eldakar, I'm sorry. Can you continue?
Oh, it's okay. I think we all like being distracted by JD. What I was saying was, Holinka is probably going to get some stuff wrong. I mean, nobody can get everything right on the first time, but he's trying, and he's trying things out. And I feel like as long as he keeps working on it with the same passion that he has been throughout this expansion, we're going to see PvP in a much better place at the end of the next expansion than we currently have it. And it's just going to keep improving.
When did he? This might be a stupid question, but when did he actually come on? I can't remember what was said. Was it 2 years ago, or when was it? Does anyone know?
I
It
don't
was
know.
at the very end of Kata,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
he didn't actually work on anything to do with Kata, I don't believe. So, like,
Yeah,
Mop was
this
his first.
expansion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Something else that we brought up, and I think Eldakar, you brought this point up again too, is when it was originally announced at BlizzCon 2011, there was going to be a base resilience of 30% for MOP, but when it was actually released, it actually shot up to 72%, and that's a huge change from them announcing that in 2011.
It started out at 40%, and then
Okay.
it gradually increased over the patches of Mist up to 72%.
Okay, gotcha.
And I think a lot of that had to do with them just tweaking their idea and seeing where they wanted to go with it. But it's a good thing to realize that what they announce at BlizzCon, especially in the really early phases of a development cycle, is not necessarily what we're going to end up in game.
Right.
And it's certainly not necessarily what we're going to end up with at the end of the expansion. And I think a lot of the reason why they announced what they did at this BlizzCon was because they wanted feedback on these aspects of the game. And something that was brought up in our discussion earlier is there's usually not much testing on, serious PvP stuff on the PTR and in the beta.
Right.
And I'm hopeful that we're going to see more PvP focused testing.
That's what I want to say, like, to, I guess, anybody watching or anybody who's going to listen. A lot of people I see complain that, well, why didn't you test these things on the PTR? Well, the question is, why didn't you test these things on the
Right.
PTR? It's not like that's what it's there for us, the gamers, the people to go play and try these things out and report bugs. So the fact that it feels like an experiment in game is because we kind of didn't do our part in making sure that it worked on the PTR.
Yeah, I mean, the perfect example, as you just brought up, is I think 5.4 was the only PTR that I actually got on and made a 90 from my class and actually tested out different dynamics of a Feral Druid. But I'll tell you what, every other single time when a PTR was released, you know what I was like? Free 90s. Let's go try out a new class, right? I mean, let's go try out a new class that I've never played before, get a free 90, full gear, and just run around and wreck shit, right? I mean, that's what, and I guarantee you, if we took a survey, I would say probably 90% of the general WoW population does it just for that, to try out a new 90, which is nothing wrong with. I think it's awesome fun.
And people want to, and the people that do make their own class that they play on main or import their main over, they want to see how much damage do I do now, or how do these changes impact my class. But nobody really, I don't feel anyway, nobody really gets into the arena and really tests it. With 5.4, I saw more of that happening just because how the whole system was changing with region-wide battlegrounds and or battle groups and no more arena teams. But prior to that, nobody really tests PvP that much, I don't feel like. So it's kind of our fault, the community's fault that some things don't really make it, or some things make it to live that shouldn't, or whatever, vice versa.
Yeah, and I think it's important to have a greater volume of testing. It's good to have a few people out there putting out quality feedback, and obviously, the higher the quality of the feedback, the better. But PvP is such a dynamic thing that the more people testing it, the better. I can't get over JD's.
I can't either.
Look.
I gotta be honest. I can't.
Oh,
I keep on looking at him, and I just can't. I can't stop.
Is it still frozen?
Yeah,
It
yeah,
is.
it's still
Oh my
frozen,
God.
dude.
If I turn off my webcam and turn it back on? Will I
No,
ruin
just let's just leave you just like that, bud.
We're
I like
leaving me like this?
Yeah, we're
really?
just gonna. I'm afraid if you turn your
Oh,
webcam
man.
off, it might mess things up. So let's leave you like that for right now.
Okay.
I just gotta not look at his face.
Jeff, were you finished with that? I'm sorry. I know you
Oh,
kind of.
I kind of lost my train of thought
Yeah.
there, but what I was saying was the more feedback, the better. So if
Right.
even if we as a community could organize some kind of testing events, I'm hopeful that we can maybe get some community managers and Blues on board with doing some testing events and
Yep.
get more people in there testing and giving feedback on the PTRs and the betas. And I think we have a good chance to catch some of the major issues before they actually propagate into live.
Right.
I agree.
Davis,
Yeah.
Davis, going to you. What do you generally do on PTRs? I mean, do you just go for the free 90 and run around and smash stuff, or do you actually test
Well-
out different dynamics?
Well, I told you in the past that I used to always make a rep paladin, even though I've never played a rep paladin. I've never played a rep paladin on live WoW at all, but I would always randomly make a rep paladin on the test realms and stuff like that, and I would always make a warrior before I had a warrior too. And I'd never even played a warrior. But apart
Hey, he's
from that,
back.
I didn't really do much. I'm back.
Oh, there you go.
Hello.
Oh, hello. It's nice to see your smiling face again, moving
Awesome.
with motion.
But yeah, so I mean, I'm not really a good tester, but I was thinking like we could do like don't in StarCraft they do like Hero of the Beta or something, where it's like on the beta realms or whatever they do tournaments. So we could try and do something like that on the Warlords of Draenor tournament.
I actually didn't know that, Davis, that they did that in
Beta.
StarCraft. That's pretty interesting.
They do that.
That's
King of the
nice.
Beta, I think it's called. King of the Beta.
Well, I think you're kind of messing up King of Scotland, King of Beta. I don't know what you're talking about anymore.
He's got royalty on his mind.
Oh boy.
But no, it's a good idea.
No,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, absolutely.
giving people something to do on PTR would be really cool. So, I mean, if anybody in chat has suggestions, or even if you would just be interested in maybe a community-wide testing day or tournaments or something on PTR, let us know. Even whether in chat or on our forums, wherever. It's going to take a lot of people to pull this off and get interest going, but I think it's for the better.
Yeah, Danny, I think that's a great idea. And I think this is something we were actually talking about a couple weeks ago, unrelated to the PvP Live podcast. But yeah, that would be really interesting when a next big patch goes up on a PTR. Maybe we could actually take an initiative as PvP Live to try to get a group together and actually test, different implementations. So I think that'd be I think it'd definitely be worthwhile. It'd be helpful too.
Absolutely. I think the community really has to work together to organize these types of things. We can't depend on Blizzard to do everything for us.
Absolutely. King of Kotmugu. I like that. Maybe that will be your new title there, Davis. Kind of moving on. Before we get to kind of like the last topic, I just want to remind everyone, please go to pvp-live.com. Remember to bookmark that site. Follow us here on Twitter and follow us on Twitch. And by the way, I am one follower away on Twitter from 100. Guys, come on.
Wow.
I mean, can someone help me out right now? Can someone go follow me on Twitter and get me to that 100 milestone?
Wow.
You got to link your Twitter, dude.
Oh, that's true. Okay. Well, I'll do that while we're talking. So kind of the last thing that I kind of wanted to talk about is, what do we think might be implemented when 6.0 comes out, but wasn't actually mentioned at BlizzCon this year? PvP related. Any ideas that you guys have, anything that you want to see implemented besides the add-ons that we were talking about and stuff, but kind of starting with Davis, since his camera's back on and he looks lovely. Let's go over to you and, what are your thoughts? What do you want to see, or what do you think Blizzard is going to possibly announce within the next couple months that's going to be a new added feature?
Rogues can be stealth forever.
There you go.
And
There you go.
they never have to leave stealth, and
Yeah.
you can only see
Like a
them
Dark
if they're stood-
Templar?
There you go.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, rogues are Dark Templars, and when they're on a flare, they're out of stealth. But if you get off the flare, then you go straight back into stealth.
Right. Never come out. I think you should actually tweet that at Holinka right now, just to get that
I
out
think
of the way.
it's a good change. I think it fixes. People have been asking for Vanish to be fixed since vanilla, okay? Well, what if we just didn't have Vanish and we're always invisible? Then no problem. And
Uh,
Smoke Bomb roots your enemies. Yeah, that we need that.
Aridin,
Just
going down to you, Aridin. What do you think? What do you think that Blizzard might possibly announce before 6.0 comes out that wasn't already announced at BlizzCon?
that's a tough one.
It is. Yeah.
I mean, to speculate on things. I mean, there's tons of and Athlete says some stuff. Holinka would come after him with a pitchfork. Like, yeah, I mean, we got to talk to people at BlizzCon, and I guess like we all have some ideas, but it's really hard to say like, what could happen. What I do think is that this whole Trial of the Gladiator thing is going to change drastically before launch. I think the idea they have is really good, and what they're trying to accomplish with it. I just think the implementation so far that we know of is not the greatest, and yeah, I would expect to see lots of changes with that before Warlords of Draenor is released. And I also really like to see. I don't know. I don't know. It's really hard to speculate.
Yeah, it is hard.
Just yeah, I don't know. We're just gonna have to see where it goes. Really.
Yeah.
I need more information.
Yeah, I think I mean, Aridin, I'll completely agree with you 100%. There is going to be some completely different changes to Trials of the Gladiator. I don't think that's near what we're actually going to see when 6.0 launches. But again, it's hard to say, and I keep on saying it over and over, but Holinka said, last week that we're going to be finding out some more information about Trial within the next couple of weeks. So I guess we're just going to really have to wait to see for that.
Well, we gotta wait. We gotta wait for PR guys to okay it,
right?
And,
Yeah.
do all that stuff.
All kinds of different stuff. Eldacard, going down to you. What do you think that is going to be implemented in 6.0, or what do you think Blizzard might actually pop out of nowhere and kind of add?
Massive buffs to rep pallies. Anytime they heal themselves or anyone around them, it kills everybody around them as well. So that's what I'm really hoping for.
Pretty much like live, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean,
Not quite.
Kind of. I'd really like to see some really cool new battlegrounds come into the game, and maybe the removal of some of them.
Which give us an example, Eldacard. What do you want to see go away?
Isle of Conquest.
Oh,
God, I hate that place.
100%. I'm raising my hand on that. Absolutely.
I don't know anybody that likes Isle of Conquest. I mean, I know people that farm honor there, but
yeah, if I'm playing Horde, Isle of Conquest and AV obviously are always X'd out as far as random battlegrounds go.
I wouldn't mind seeing some cool new fun systems like World PvP bounties, where you can put bounties on people's heads for gold, and if somebody goes and kills them, they get that gold.
I would love that. Yeah,
well, I definitely think there's things in place that they can build off of. Like I know you're really disappointed that there was no mention of PvP involved with garrisons, but
oh yeah.
I mean, maybe a 6.1, 6.2 going forward kind of thing, There's plenty of stuff they could build off of. Somebody said in chat, let me find it, Girisar, with PvP power and base resilience. I think, to be honest with you, I think we're going to just see those stats gone, or at least like hidden in the background, or maybe even just on our character sheet. I don't think resilience and PvP power are going to be on gear anymore.
I think PvP power is going to stay if what Holinka tweeted like 2 weeks ago is any indication. They're going to rework the system so that it's a bit simpler. But I would not be at all surprised to see resilience go away, and I think it should go away. There should just be a baseline damage reduction that's in the background that you don't see on your character pane, that you don't have to worry about. Kind of like battle fatigue, something that just shows up when you're in PvP, but you don't really have to think about it. It's not a gearing decision. It's just gone effectively, but the damage reduction component is still there.
Yeah, I agree. And here's another thing in chat that actually this is something I've mentioned many times, and I can't believe I didn't think about it when I was just asked. But I've actually, up to this point, I've been a little bit disappointed that they haven't come out and said that they're looking to toss a bunch of abilities, ability bloat and too many buttons and stuff like that. So I think that's something that we're gonna see. I really think they're looking at it, and maybe they weren't ready to announce it yet. and it's going to take a lot of work during beta and stuff. But I think we're going to see a lot of abilities go bye-bye.
Yeah, I mean, and that's something we've discussed in previous podcasts, and I think I don't want to say everyone, but a lot of people would agree. I would love to see button blow go away. I mean, especially some of the classes, it's just all of them actually. There's just too many damn abilities, and the problem is too, it's such a high learning curve to get into World of Warcraft. It really is. It's I shouldn't say that. To play at a higher level, it's hard as far as PvP goes. So that'll be really interesting. And like we've said before too, is it's really, obviously Blizzard is not going to announce everything at BlizzCon. They have to save stuff, over the next couple months, or I mean, who even knows? 6.0 might not be released for 8 months from now. We have no idea. But they have to save some kind of information for advertising purposes, at least, just to spread out some of that information that we're going to see coming to get people re-excited about the expansion. So yeah. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what's going to be happening in the next couple of months as far as announcements go from Blizzard on PvP and 6.0. I'm super excited to find out.
Yeah. Yeah, same. I think it's going to be good. And we also have, let's not forget, the item squish. So health pools are going to be smaller, damage is going to be smaller. It's going to, I don't know if it's going to feel much different, but it will definitely look much different.
Mm-hmm. I think it'll be much easier to follow combat.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, right now with all the different zeros, it's kind of hard to figure out, at a quick glance, if you did 10,000 damage or 100,000 damage, without taking a closer look. But
adding the commas, which is something they did this X pack, was nice.
Yeah, that is nice. But I think the Addons squish is going to be a good thing overall.
Yeah, it's really hard. I don't want to say really hard, but with so many abilities, it's kind of hard to keep track of what's going on at tournaments. Even with commentators, so much stuff going on that you're seeing, fly by. And it was so funny, like Conan was saying when he was commentating, he was like, I have no idea what's going on. There's all kinds of rainbows and fire going on everywhere. And, obviously we know more than that, or the general player does, but there's so many damn abilities that go on that commentators have to, kind of point out. It's pretty difficult. It's hard to watch competitive play. Yeah. It's actually, it's surprising. It's a lot easier to watch tournaments, League of Legends or, StarCraft 2 or Dota or anything, because there's not that many abilities.
It makes it really hard for people that don't understand that much, even, because the commentators are really doing their best to describe everything that's going on, but there's always so much going on that they don't have a time to take a break and say, hey, look, this is the strategy this team's going for.
Yep.
Like StarCraft or League, commentators have that time to explain strategies and what each team is trying to accomplish. There's no time for that in WoW Arena. It's just ability.
That's
like over, like
you've got 6 people using abilities every time GCD comes up.
Right.
Nobody can speak that fast.
Right.
And if they could, I would be scared to listen to them.
Yeah, because no one's going to be able to follow it anyways if they could. So yeah, it's interesting. Like I said at the beginning of the podcast, it's a lot easier to watch like a StarCraft 2 tournament because you have build orders and there's so much downtime. But in an arena, there's no downtime. It's constant go the whole match. So it would be, I think it'd be welcomed if they kind of got rid of or kind of combined some abilities. But who knows?
And what's interesting is it sounds like a really like a decent balance between the both would be a good thing, right? Like not too much downtime, but not an insane amount of action, right? Well, that's kind of what Heroes of the Storm is trying to do, isn't it not? I mean, I know this is a World of Warcraft PvP show, but
sure.
From what we played of Heroes, like that really seems like what they're aiming to do with that game.
Mm-hmm.
I think you could accomplish something similar in WoW with what would be kind of a new concept, but small-scale arena-like battlegrounds, where you've got objectives beyond just killing the other team, but it's small scale enough that you can do it with 3 to 5 people per team, and it would give something for the audience to follow that's easier to keep track of than all the different ability spam. When you've got objectives, it's easier to just focus on what's going on with those objectives, which team is getting an objective, that type of thing. I feel like that would be easier to watch from a spectator point of view.
Eldikar, I don't know why we've never talked about this before, but that's an excellent idea. I mean, no joke. That would actually be really interesting. Like a 3v3 small battleground. I mean, I don't know how you would implement that, or a 5v5, but that could be really cool, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it would be difficult to make sure it doesn't go too long.
Right.
Because there's not enough. I mean, you've seen how long 3v3 matches can go when you're just trying to kill the other team like one person once. But I feel like
Can you
there's ways
imagine?
that they could do it.
Can you imagine two people trying to kill a tank spec druid or whatever?
Oh.
Like, oh, oh.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously
Yes,
there'd
they're
have to
all
like
be.
good.
Warsong Gulch, and you just have two DPS and
Yeah,
a
could you
healer. It
imagine?
would take forever.
Yeah, a 2v2
Oh.
Warsong Gulch, exactly how the map's set up now. That would be
Oh
mind-numbing.
my
That would be
God.
mind-numbing. No, but honestly, though, I mean, I really, Eldikar, I don't know why, yeah, I've never
Yeah.
thought of that before, but that's a really interesting idea.
Yeah,
I mean,
the map
obviously
would
they'd have
be
to
small.
change it completely.
I mean, I feel like 5v5 would be a good format for that with a small map and a small number of objectives, but it would be much easier to keep track of for a spectator, and I think it could be very popular as a spectator sport.
yeah, totally agree.
I would tend to agree. The only thing that really, I guess, obviously they'd have to build a system around doing that because there's no way to really showcase the action now, as it were, because you would need at least 3 cameramen,
Right.
Yeah,
just for a war
absolutely.
song.
Oh, yeah.
But so they'd have to build a system around it. But I agree. I think the objectives in BGs are much easier to follow than in Arena.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Arena's pretty easy, kill somebody, but it's easier to understand, I guess, what's going on, how the objectives are being met in BGs. So.
Yeah, even if there was just one objective, like
yes,
Ashley just
Hutball.
mentioned, Hutball. I don't remember Hutball that well from the 5 minutes that I played Star Wars Galaxies, but if there's just like one
Who's the
ball
only
and you're
public-
trying to get it to like the other team's goal, that could be really easy to follow and a lot of fun to watch, I think.
Hutball was the greatest battleground ever made in the worst game ever. Like, seriously. Yeah, like you basically, there was one ball in the middle. Both teams crashed for it. Whoever got it, you could pass it, you could intercept, and it was basically you had to run it across the line at the other end. There's like traps in the
Yeah,
map.
could you use abilities while you were holding the
Yeah,
ball?
yeah. I believe so. I
Unreal
think.
Tournament had a version of that back in like 2004, but you couldn't do anything other than run around while you were holding the ball. So your team had to protect you. And I felt like that added a great element into it.
Yeah, like when they announced, this was another thing at BlizzCon for when they announced MOP, is they said that they were adding a murder ball style battleground.
Yeah.
Turns out to be Katmogu.
Right.
I was so stoked thinking that we were getting a hut ball in WoW. Like seriously, like it blew my mind. Like I almost peed myself because I was so happy. Like
Yeah.
hut ball was literally the greatest game I've ever played.
Yeah, I'd love to see something like that in WoW. And if it was a small map, 5v5, I think it could be really, really popular for spectators.
Yeah, actually, on that note, too, Eldikar, I don't know what your schedule's like this week, but I would love to see a concept-type post from you on PvP Live about the stuff that we were... No, I'm serious. About, like, the 3v3 battlegrounds or, smaller battlegrounds for arena-type battlegrounds. I mean, that's a really interesting concept.
Yeah, I
Maybe
was actually
without
just
as
thinking
many
about
graphs,
making a
though.
post about that.
What's that?
Whoa.
No, I'm kidding.
Everything
I'm
needs
kidding.
Everything needs graphs. But yeah, I might put together something like that.
Yeah, that's really... I can't believe we've never talked about that before, but yeah, that'd be interesting to see what you come up with. So...
I'm interested to see what it comes up with.
Anyways, guys, I think that's it for today. I think that's all the topics we wanted to talk about in PvP Live's podcast number 11 today. 11. Wow. Pretty soon we're going to be at like 50 in a couple of weeks. Dave, it's going to you, kind of every single time. Any last minute shout outs, anything that you want to say before we wrap this up?
No, thank you everyone for coming. And shout out to myself, who you should follow on Twitter.
There you go. Actually, since you just brought that up, I am going to give a shout out to Piuski, is actually my 100th follower on Twitter. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Aw.
Yeah, that was
Well done,
actually...
Piuski.
That was... I hope I pronounced that right. Thank you so much. Going down to Addon. Addon, any last minute shout outs for you?
Shout out to the chat. Shout out to everybody that was making it an interesting chat to read.
Yeah.
Shout out to you guys for being here on the show, taking times out of your precious Sundays to be here and
Yeah.
talk about all the cool things that have to do with PvP.
It's Poisky. Poisky, thank you.
Poisky.
Thank you very much for following me on Twitter. Eldakar, going to you. Any last words?
I want to give a shout out to the chat as well. It's
Yeah.
been really entertaining, and we've gotten some great talking points from the chat here. And also a shout out to my friend Kate, who is listening.
Awesome. Yeah. Just one last time too. Thank you, chat. This is actually a really good interactive type podcast today, which we love to see. Obviously, once again, everyone, please go to pvp-live.com. Bookmark that site. Follow us here on Twitch and follow all of us on Twitter. Guys, until next time, thank you so much for joining us.